What does the Boston Red Sox 2024 roster currently look like? Find out on today's Locked On Red Sox.
You are Locked On Red Sox, your daily Boston Red Sox podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Hello and welcome to Locked On Red Sox, your daily Boston Red Sox podcast. I'm your host, Gabby, former ESPN social media associate and current host of the Boston Balling podcast. And I am here to bring you the latest in all things Boston Red Sox straight to your favorite podcast feed for free. And honestly, with how much the Red Sox like to increase ticket prices every year, something free is always a great thing to take advantage of. So make sure to start your day off right by tuning in to Locked On Red Sox. Locked On is here for you with your team every day. Today's episode is brought to you by FanDuel. Make every moment more. Right now, new customers get $150 in bonus bets guaranteed when you place a $5 bet. Visit fanduel.com/lockedon to get started. Welcome to another episode of the show where we are going to be breaking down what the Boston Red Sox roster looks like as it stands for 2024 and what the potential is there. A lot of things have to go perfectly right in order for the Red Sox to be super competitive in the 2024 season. There are some players who have had a very small sample size, and I'd like to see more of them before making a judgment call on their future with this franchise and how they're really going to pan out, and other players who may struggle that we haven't seen struggle as much. So going to break down by position every player currently on the roster and where they stand as of right now with depth options and what moves they can do where. So starting with the infield, at first base, you're going to have primarily Tristan Casas playing there. And Casas very much impressed during his rookie season in 2023. He certainly gave Gunnar Henderson a run for his money for Rookie of the Year. The second half of the season, he had a huge surge, and I only expect that to go up from here. Justin Turner playing the same position as him during 2023 and helping to guide him, I think certainly helped him out a lot when it came to his development during the 2023 season. So I expect him to continue to grow, continue to develop, and have a 2024 season that's even better than his last season. Now, last year, there was a lot of working Casas, trying to get him to develop, and Justin Turner would play first base on other days where Casas wasn't. So Casas can't play every single day. He's going to need days to rest. So as of right now, Bobby Dahlbeck is slated as the other first baseman for Boston. And I've expressed my feelings about Bobby on this show before. But for those of you who are unaware, I am not a Bobby Dahlbeck fan. He's gotten a lot of chances with the Red Sox. He's been incredibly inconsistent. He'll go on a hot streak for a couple weeks and then go into a mode of not necessarily being up to par with where he should be. And he is not that good of a hitter. He strikes out a lot, has trouble with contact and location of recognizing what pitches to swing at. And fielding wise, he makes a lot of errors in the infield. Now, I've seen a little bit of improvement from him over the last couple seasons, but he hasn't gotten that much of an opportunity to play ever since Casas was called up. And if he's strictly used as a backup at first base, that's okay for now. But the reality at the end of the day is Bobby Dahlbeck should not be looked at as a first baseman of the future. And if he plays some games during 2024, don't expect him to be overly productive. It would just be more the case of him being used on days where they have to rest Casas since he can't play every day. So I'm not super high on Dahlbeck. I never really was, but maybe he'll change my mind in 2024. Then you move over to second base. Now, this is where it gets interesting because between second base and shortstop, you have a couple players who can play either of those positions. Pablo Reyes really can play either shortstop or second base effectively. He was a very strong hitter in 2023 and he played good defense and he spent some time at both of those positions. And I've always been a fan of Reyes. I think he's a great guy to have around the team and a great guy to come in and fill in at either one of those spots. So he can really be slotted in at either of those. The same thing goes for Cedar Rafaela, who also plays in the outfield, and presumably he potentially might be used as a trade piece in the rest of this offseason, depending on what moves the Red Sox decide to make, or he will start for Boston in either of those spots, either as an outfielder or an infielder, depending on where they see fit for him. So he had such a small sample size in 2023, got called up in September, played a little bit, but I'd like to see more from him to see what he can do. But those are a couple options that you can really play at either position. The Red Sox did trade for Vaughn Grissom, a second baseman, when they traded Chris Sale to the Braves. He presumably will be the starting second baseman because they wouldn't have traded for him, I don't think, if they didn't see him being that guy to presumably start in that role. So assuming he's going to be the starting second baseman, which is exciting. He's very talented. The Braves really liked him. He had a lot of upside. I'm interested in seeing how his bat adapts to Fenway, but he likely will be the starting second baseman. Then you have Emmanuel Valdez, another guy who possibly could play second base on days where Grissom isn't in the lineup. But he's another player that I could see the Red Sox deciding they might want to move for some pitching this offseason. And if that's the case, then it would probably be a combination of Grissom and Reyes, or Grissom and Rafaela primarily at second base. But what I've seen from Valdez, he definitely has some talent. He needs to work on his defense, but offensively, he was a pretty good hitter and was showing that he had the ability to crush the baseball sometimes, and location wise was placing the ball in very good spots at Fenway. So I like Valdez. I think there's some talent there, but defensively, he is a little bit more of a liability. So if they do decide to keep him, they do need to work on his defense a little bit. And the other question mark is, somebody that has had a little bit of playing time up in the majors, but wasn't able to showcase a whole lot of what he could do, and that's David Hamilton. What do they do with him? My guess is he's going to primarily stay in AAA and be in a similar role as he was in 2023, where he gets called up if there's an injury in the infield or they need somebody to come in and slot in. I don't think they see him as a major league caliber guy right now to play second base regularly, but I could see him being used in a platoon type of role between shortstop or second base if there is an injury. So he's not somebody I'm seeing on that opening day roster at the major league level. But one guy who definitely will be is Trevor Story, who's been running a camp, working with guys in the Red Sox organization on their infield defense, which is fantastic. And it's a great way for guys to be familiar with Trevor Story's playing style and how he's been so successful in the league. He will be the starting shortstop. It's unfortunate because he did miss a lot of the season last year with an injury and having to get surgery. But then he came back and his arm was better than ever. So I'm expecting a big 2024 season defensively from him. He helped resolve the huge defensive problem that the Red Sox had during the 2023 season. So he's a guy who I could see being a huge asset in 2024 defensively. He just absolutely needs to get going at the plate because he could not figure out a way to make it work at the plate in 2023. So if he can clean that up, he will be one of the best additions on this team heading into the 2024 season. Heading over to third base, Rafael Devers is the third baseman. That just is what it is. It's not going to change. He is one of the best hitters on the team, as we would hope, because he just signed that massive contract extension. His defense is not the best, though. He has some great moments and some not so great moments, and he makes hard plays a lot of times that people don't typically make. But then with the easier, more basic plays that are more routine, he struggles with those more. So he needs to clean up his defense, but he is the starting third baseman and likely will be for a while in this contract. Maybe towards the end of it, he becomes a designated hitter, but they're paying him too much money to say he's just going to be a DH. So he will be the starting third baseman. And if there's days that he is going to be on the bench and isn't going to be in the lineup, or he's just getting a rest day, you could technically put Reyes at third base. He has experience playing there, and he could be another guy that platoons over there. And who knows, maybe you try somebody like Valdez at third base too, who isn't as much in a set position definitively. So those are other options you can put at third base when Devers is on the times when he has to have a rest day or he isn't playing for whatever reason. And then you go to catchers. And for catchers, Connor Wong and Reese McGuire will stay as the two catchers for this team. Connor Wong pulled a lot of weight in 2023 when Reese McGuire was injured, and it allowed him to really grow and develop a lot more. So I really liked what he brought to the table when he was in that period of having to play a lot of consecutive games and getting more reps in than he typically does. I like Connor Wong. Is he as good as Kyle Teal is going to be? Definitely not. And he'll be fine as the number 2 catcher when that time comes for Teal to come up. But for now, the Red Sox are in the same catching situation as they were in last year. And Reese McGuire was a totally fine backup catcher. I mean, he's nothing special, but he'll get the job done. And he had the offensive numbers to completely satisfy as that number 2 guy. So that's what we're looking at for the catching situation. And at DH, you have to wonder how the Red Sox handle that right now. And when I touch on the outfield, I will talk a little bit about what this could mean for the designated hitter position. So that's coming up next. After the holidays, we could all use a little extra cash in our pockets, especially after all of the gift giving. We still need to buy the everyday things we need. Make sure you're getting cash back on all of your everyday purchases with Ibotta. It's officially soup season. Make sure you get all of the ingredients you need to master your recipe while getting your cash back on your purchases. The average Ibotta user earns $145 per year. That could cover the cost of an entire shopping trip, buy that flight you've been eyeing, that game you're dying to go to, or the fancy dinner you've been craving. Right now, Ibotta is offering our listeners $5 just for trying it by using the code LOCKEDONMLB when you register. Just go to the App Store or Google Play Store and download the free Ibotta app to start earning cash back and use code LOCKEDONMLB. That's IBOTTA in the Google Play or App Store and use code LOCKEDONMLB. Hey, I'm telling you, anytime I can save money, I'm all there. So you should absolutely do it too. I know we come to sports to escape from some of the crazy realities of real life. Can we talk just for a minute about preparing for real life? According to the FDA, pharmacies are running out of antibiotics like amoxicillin right in the middle of the worst flu season in over a decade. This is scary. I can't imagine a more helpless feeling than any of my family members getting sick while a supply chain issue kept them from the life-saving medication they needed. Thankfully, we'll be okay because of Jase Medical. The Jase case is a pack of 5 different antibiotics to treat a long list of bacterial illnesses, including UTIs, respiratory infections, sinusitis, skin infections, among others. This stuff could happen to any of us. Visit jasemedical.com and complete your physician encounter. It will be reviewed by a board-certified physician, and your medications will be dispensed by a licensed pharmacy at a fraction of the regular cost. It's never been more important to be prepared than today. Go to jasemedical.com and use offer code LOCKEDON to get $20 off your order. Always good to be safe rather than sorry, so purchase your Jase case today. Also, download the Sirius XM app because you can actually get the home broadcast of every Red Sox game straight to your phone, so you don't have to worry about missing a single pitch. It's honestly such a great thing. If you can't catch the game live on TV, you can at least listen to it. So download the Sirius XM app today. When going over the Boston Red Sox roster for 2024, I have to dive into the outfield a little bit because the outfield situation is definitely unique. There's still potential for new players to come into the outfield, in which case then somebody could be moved. You start with left field where you have Masataka Yoshida, and the question becomes, do you keep him as the starting left fielder or do you swap somebody else in there and move him to designated hitter? Because right now there is no definite DH. Justin Turner was more the defined DH in 2023, but now it's kind of playing around with who makes sense for it to be. Trevor Story on days where he's not playing shortstop. Yoshida because his defense isn't great. So then we're looking at an outfield of Wilyer Abreu to go with Yoshida, Jarren Duran, Tyler O'Neill, and Rob Refsnyder, and Cedar Rafaela. Those are the guys right now who will slot into those positions. And presumably what I'd like to see them do is have Duran start in center field, O'Neill in right field, and then Abreu in left field, and move Yoshida to DH because he's not the best defensively. Or if they do decide to make an outfield move, then maybe they trade Jarren Duran, slot in a new outfielder there, and then they keep Yoshida where he is because maybe Abreu is somebody who was shipped out at that time when they do bring in another outfielder. So as of right now, that's how the outfield stands. Tyler O'Neill has struggled with injuries the last couple seasons. If he can stay healthy, he definitely has the bat to succeed at Fenway Park. So I'm interested in seeing how he does from that standpoint of being able to adapt and succeed. Jarren Duran had an excellent 2023 season. He was so fun to watch, and I can only imagine what that's going to turn into heading into 2024. I just am excited to see him absolutely prosper. And Wilyer Abreu is somebody to me who has a lot of potential and upside. We didn't see much of him, just a very small sample size of him in 2023. But if we can see more, I feel like he has the potential to be really successful here. Whether the Red Sox see him as part of the future or not, that's on them to decide. But if he does stay here, I think he can really make a mark for himself in this outfield. So I'm interested in seeing where he ends up and if he stays here. But as of right now, that's what the outfield situation looks like. And Rob Refsnyder can really be slotted into any of those positions. And he can also play in the infield a little bit too. That's the nice thing about having a utility player is he can do a lot and play in a lot of different spots. And he also hits left-handed pitchers really well. So I like the fact that he's so movable and you can put him pretty much wherever and he can be part of that group. So the outfield situation still might change, but if it doesn't and it stands as it is, then I'd like to see Yoshida be moved to DH and then have Abreu, Duran, and O'Neill be the starting outfield and then just slot in Refsnyder when somebody needs an off day. Then it comes to the pitchers, and for starting pitching right now, the Red Sox are not exactly in a great spot. Right now, the current starting rotation is Lucas Giolito, Brian Bayo, Nick Pivetta, and Cutter Crawford. Lucas Giolito used to be dominant a few seasons ago, and he was the type of pitcher that was almost unhittable when he was in his prime. Now, I don't think he'll ever get back to that, but if the Red Sox can hone in on getting him back to utilizing his strengths and they can figure out what is best in order to get him back to a place where he can at least be a consistent, maybe number 2 or number 3 starter in this rotation, that's being a little bit generous. That can be good for Boston. He has a chance to really turn things around, and I'm hoping Andrew Bailey can do that with him. But he's not a number 1, and neither is Brian Bayo. As much as I really like Bayo, I think he's moving in a positive direction. He's not quite ace caliber yet, and he's somebody who, to me, has the potential to eventually be that down the road, but still needs more experience first before he gets to that. Nick Pivetta is better out of the bullpen to me. The Red Sox put him in the bullpen in 2023, and he was absolutely masterful there. I don't know what it was about pitching out of the pen, but he looked a lot more comfortable and he was absolutely shoving. And then they put him back into the rotation at the end of the season. He made a few starts and those weren't bad, but I'm not convinced that he's ready to go back into the rotation. I think his stuff is better out of the pen, so that could potentially not be a good situation. And Cutter Crawford is another one who's right up there with Bayo. He's shown me some upside that I like during the 2023 season, but there's still more I need to see from him in order to get on board with him being a starter that I want to see consistently on the mound. And he will be able to continue to improve. He seems like he works well in this system, and whatever the Red Sox are doing with him is working. So he's somebody who I'm excited to see moving forward, but I would not consider him an ace or anything like that right now. So I'd like to see more from that standpoint before I declare him being even a number 2 or number 3. I think he's more still around a number 4 right now, but that can change. And then for the 5th spot, we have Tanner Houck and Garrett Whitlock and Josh Winkowski fighting for a spot. Houck and Whitlock, I've always been team bullpen for both of them. They both have absolutely lethal stuff. Whitlock struggles when he starts, and I think he's much better suited to be in a shorter term relief role where he's only expected to pitch 2 or 3 innings as opposed to having a full start where he has to pitch 5 to 6 innings. And Tanner Houck, same thing. He struggles the third time through the order. So if he only has to pitch 2 to 3 innings, that's good too. And Josh Winkowski, we haven't seen start yet. So who knows what his situation is and whether he could be a good starter. That's a gamble and a risk the Red Sox seem willing to take, is to put him in the starting rotation and kind of see how it goes. So if they want to do that, by all means, they can do that. But I am not 100% sure about it. So that's another question mark to me. So overall, the starting rotation for Boston right now is at a place of complete question marks. And coming up is the bullpen full of as many question marks too? You'll find out. Are you big into sports betting? Is your significant other trying to get you into it? If so, FanDuel is the place for you. The NFL regular season is wrapping up, but there's still time to get in on the action with FanDuel, America's #1 sports book. Right now, new customers get $150 in bonus bets guaranteed when you place a $5 bet. That's $150 in bonus bets, win or lose. The app is so easy to use, and there are so many different ways to bet, like live same game parlays. Find bets in the new Explore tab. Make a parlay in the Parlay Hub, the best way to find popular parlays, and more. So visit FanDuel.com/lockedon and make your first bet a layup. FanDuel, official partner of the NFL. FanDuel is so much fun. It's a great way to get hooked on sports betting if you aren't already. Don't forget to download the SiriusXM app because you can get the home broadcast of every Red Sox game straight to your phone so you don't have to worry about missing a single pitch. It's honestly fantastic and you won't be disappointed. And you also won't be disappointed if you subscribe to Locked On Sports Today on YouTube because we launched the first ever National Sports 24/7 streaming channel so you can be caught up in all things going on in sports without having to worry about being behind or sit and scroll through Twitter to have to catch up. This stream is here for you no matter what time zone you're in. So subscribe to Locked On Sports Today on YouTube and get in on the action that way. The Boston Red Sox roster in 2024 is filled with question marks, especially with the starting rotation, which we've been saying all offseason. But what does the bullpen look like? As of right now, you still have Kenley Jansen as the closer. He has fallen off from what he used to be. He's not the Kenley Jansen in his prime that was unhittable and was consistently closing out every game. He did have some rocky outings for the Red Sox in 2023, but ultimately he did get the job done more often than not. And he is a proven MLB closer. And the Red Sox really haven't had that in a while. So it'd be a hard pill to swallow if the Red Sox do move on from Jansen, but there are reports saying that they might be moving him and that they're looking into options. So if they do move him, the question then becomes who moves into the closing spot, because if he's still here, he obviously will stay as closer. But Chris Martin is another guy that could be interesting to move into the closing spot because he was absolutely dominant as the bridge guy last year. He was that 8th inning guy that would come in before Kenley and just keep those leads if they were close games before Kenley would come in to close it. So he could be a good choice to take over that closing spot if they do trade Kenley Jansen. Other options out of the bullpen, we have John Schreiber, who did struggle a little bit more in 2023 than what we saw from him in 2022. And injuries did play a part in that. He was injured for part of the 2023 season and couldn't pitch. So that was a factor. Hopefully he can get back to his 2022 form in 2024 because he is a great asset to have in the Red Sox bullpen. You also have Brennan Bernardino, who was so underrated in 2023, but was a great asset to the Red Sox bullpen, got out of a lot of jams, came in to pitch, and was one of the few guys that I trusted out of the pen. in crunch time situations with close games on the line. So I like Bernardino. He's definitely somebody they should keep in that bullpen just moving forward and give him the opportunity to really showcase what he can do. Other pitchers we saw last season, Brandon Walter. This is somebody who may be in AAA, maybe at the majors, who knows. He's somebody who they kind of platooned between in 2023, and he showed glimpses of what he can do. He had some decent outings, some not so decent outings, and same with Chris Murphy, another one who has hung around and has been in the Red Sox bullpen and had experience pitching out of the bullpen, but also pitched a lot in AAA. So those two guys might be platoon players who are switching between the majors and AAA. They also have Wickelman Gonzalez, who's in the system and is very talented and could have a chance to come up and showcase what he could do during the season, because I'd be interested in seeing what he has. He's a very hyped up prospect, and it'd be cool if the Red Sox gave him a chance, because I've wanted to see what he could do for a while. He's been doing well at the minor league level, so it'll be interesting to see what he can do. Isaiah Campbell is another pitcher the Red Sox acquired. They traded Luis Urias to the Mariners and acquired him, and he's somebody who I think has a lot of potential with work needed. There's no way to know yet how he will perform in Boston, but last season he finished with a 283 earned run average with 33 strikeouts. So he's another person who could be a good move, maybe not so great of a move. It's still too soon to tell. Zach Kelly definitely has a lot of upside. He was injured for most of the 2023 season, but came back towards the end and was able to get his arm working and was able to show that he still has it in him. So Kelly is another option out of the bullpen that could be a good option for Boston for depth. And also Zach Weiss. He was actually dominant when he pitched in 2023 for Boston, finished the season with a 321 earned run average, but he was somebody who had some really good outings with the Red Sox, and I definitely liked what I saw from him. I think there's more in the tank there, more he can give. The Red Sox kind of need to give him more opportunities, I feel, in order to prove that theory, right or not. But I really like Weiss. I think there is definitely upside and something for the Red Sox to work with there. It'll be interesting to see how they work these guys in, because then you have somebody like Joe Jakes, who pitched during the 2023 season and was not very good. He was brought up a few times, especially during injuries and when the Red Sox needed somebody, and he struggled. He left the season not on the best note. So is he somebody the Red Sox keep in AAA and make him develop more without even giving him a chance in 2024? I don't know, but that's an option of somebody maybe they watch out for when he's in the minors. And if he's showing that he's improved and he deserves another chance, and maybe the Red Sox do bring him back up to get another opportunity in the majors. So that's another thing to look out for there. And then also Cooper Criswell, who the Red Sox signed to a one-year deal on December 13th. And he throws an 88 miles per hour fastball, 84 miles per hour changeup. He also has an 83 mile per hour cutter and 76 mile per hour slider on his resume. So having four pitches that he can throw pretty effectively is a good sign. I'd like that fastball velocity to increase a little bit, but he was a 2018 draft pick with the Angels and then spent 11 games with the Tampa Bay Rays over the last 2 years. So he hasn't had a ton of playing time up at the majors yet, but he struggled when he was with the Rays last year with a 597 earned run average, but also picked up a win and struck out 27 batters. So who really knows how he's going to be? Still too small of a sample size there, but that's another guy to watch out for as the Red Sox try to formulate this roster and what kind of depth moves they want. But either way, a lot of things have to go right for the Boston Red Sox in 2024 in order to get to the point where they have a roster that we can be super excited about. So let's see what they do over the next few weeks. Still got to work on that pitching staff, maybe acquire another right-handed bat. So we'll see if they do it. But Don't forget to download the SiriusXM app and search Red Sox so you can generate that home broadcast of every game straight to your phone. So when the 2024 season starts, you don't have to worry about missing a game no matter what you're doing or where you are. It's absolutely fantastic. And also subscribe to Locked On Sports today on YouTube and get access to that 24/7 sports streaming channel no matter where you are or what time zone you're in. It won't disappoint, I promise you. So download SiriusXM today and subscribe to Locked On Sports today as well. As always, keep the faith, go Red Sox, and I will catch you on the flip side.